behind us. Again, my name is Dave Silva. I've been in the financial services for about 8 years with this particular product I'm going to share with you. However, I've been a CFO for my wife's financial CFO in her business. She has a nutritional business, and I came across this product about 10 years ago, and I was amazed at what it did for me, and I wanted to share it with others. Over the last 8 years, I've been very successful in helping people in the medical community with this particular product. And I want to say right up front, I am not a financial advisor. So I'm not going to tell you where to invest your money. What I will share with you is a unique product that I've helped many folks in the medical field get out of debt and be able to create wealth. So let's talk about in general what financial stress is. We all have stresses in our lives, whatever they may be, with family, emotional, what have you. But financial stress is a major stressor that many of us suffer from, and that's right from the American Psychological Association. And we don't want our health professionals to be stressed. I certainly don't want a brain surgeon working on me that is under stress. That didn't work out very well the first time that happened with me. So we typically get financial stress from various reasons, but it affects our physical health as well as irritability, anger, fatigue. People feel overwhelmed, changes in sleeping habits, and that's something that we want to eliminate. And we feel that with the program I'm about to show you, that you can eliminate the stress. Typically, we like to underpromise and overdeliver. It's been my experience with this particular product that I've been able to save people about a third to a half of their total debt. Now, when I say total debt, I'm talking about all debt. Typically, people come to me and they want to eliminate their tuition debt, student loan debt, but we like to look at everything. What about their mortgages? What about what about credit cards, car loans, what have you? We look at the entire debt situation and help them eliminate that. Not only do we help eliminate the debt, but we also can eliminate the time frame, and that time frame can be used then to create wealth. When you don't have to pay debt after 10 years, you can take the money that you were using to pay debt and now use it to create wealth by working with a financial advisor. We are in a debt-fueled economy. These numbers are the most current as of about a month ago, the end of the year. Average credit card debt is around $9,754, and what we find is the average homeowner has 4 cards, many in that amount. The average mortgage debt, again, we're talking about a national average, is about $242,000. Obviously, if you're in a higher rent district like New York, New Jersey, California, that's going to be more. Average student loan debt, it's around $55,000. And if you look at the bar underneath that, you'll see that in the medical and chiropractic school loan debt is around $216,000. So if you're in the medical community, your debt load as far as tuition is probably in that number or higher. Average car loans around $40,000. And again, many families are carrying 2 car loans. On top of the student loan debt that someone may have, starting and owning a practice also will create debt. And that just adds another burden, another stressor. All right. This was from an article I picked up back in September of 2021 from Medical Economics, and you may be familiar with that journal. And the article was about lifestyle creep. And lifestyle creep is what happens that when you're coming out of grad school, you have tuition, and you start to earn a significant income, but you're still living paycheck to paycheck. This is a common experience for many physicians. Most are making substantial incomes, yet they feel as though they're still drowning in financial obligations, and many are still struggling with student loans at the same time that they're trying to open up a practice or start a practice. And while they're doing that, they're upgrading their home. They feel that, hey, I've paid my dues, I've gotten my education, now I'm going to hang my shingle and start to help people and get in and do the things I want to do. But, I need a new home, and they get an expensive home. They get the expensive car. They get the expensive furniture. Their cuisine changes because they're going to nicer restaurants. Luxury becomes a norm. And they're chasing a higher standard of living, and that's creating more stress and more debt. And this is a common practice. I've shown this presentation to several physicians, and they say, this is what's me. This is me. This is what's happening with me. So I want to talk about the program in general. This program was created actually by two mortgage brokers. And I found that interesting when I first investigated. It was two mortgage brokers that wanted to help their clients pay off debt. Now, the situation there was that they were finding out clients were paying off their debt, paying off their mortgages, but there were also clients that were refinancing their homes multiple times to a point where there was actually no equity left in their home. So they felt they needed to help those folks. They ran a beta test with about 400 of their customers, and what they found was that with particular software, these clients were able to pay off their mortgages in about 5 to 7 years. Not only that, those clients were also putting other debt into the program and paying off tuition debt and car loans and motorcycle loans and so on. In fact, in 2008, this program was considered by Ernst & Young one of the top software programs of the year. If you're familiar with Ernst & Young, they're the biggest financial organization, accounting organization in the world. You'll see some of the trade journals there that we've been featured in, specifically in the Broker Market Magazine, Mortgage Planner, etc. So what the program is called is Debt Shredder. But honestly, when you look at the program, it's more of a wealth building program. And we'll show you an analysis or two of a real live client that we helped, and you can see how we can help yourself or someone you may know. It is an online, web-based money management and debt elimination system. We're not going to do any type of refinancing. We're not doing any mortgage refinance. We're not doing debt consolidation. We're not doing anything like that. We're actually using a software program that's going to utilize proven banking strategies and complex algorithms. What I like to say here is that we're going to use the same banking strategies that the banks charge, but we're going to invert them or reverse them so that you'll be able to save time and interest with this particular program. We are the only interactive system on the market today, and the program can adjust in real-time situations as things change in your financial journey. Whether it's feast or famine. I've had situations where people were doing very well, money was coming in, had no issues, they're living the high life, and the program was able to obviously help them and they get out of debt sooner. By the same token, a couple of years ago, we had a pandemic and things changed. Some people lost their jobs and so on, and the program would adjust to those situations where things just weren't as financially good for these folks. So a program can adjust. It'll also adjust as you bring in new debt. As an example, some people have moved forward with the program and then need to buy a car, need to buy a truck or what have you. They'll buy it and they can actually shred the debt of that, take a 7-year car loan and pay it off in about 2 years with our program. The display of information is organized, it's easy to read, the format's very user-friendly. In fact, what we find is once we run an analysis for someone, we'll find that if we tell them that they'll be out of debt in 15 years or 10 years, usually people will accelerate. I call it self-acceleration, where they'll be able to actually save time and money faster than we even predict on the analysis. And again, it uses various algorithms to do that. The algorithms are decision programming that prioritize what should happen to the data we're putting in there. And it can go through various factorial combinations to find the best one. As an example, if you had 6 debts with 6 different balances and 6 different interest rates, there's actually about 720 calculations that the program will run to give you the best calculation. Now, you don't want to look at 720 calculations, but it will give you the 6 best that will save you the time and interest money. All right. If you had just one more debt, 7 debts, there's actually 5,000 calculations. So the more debt loads you add on here, the more complicated it becomes. But the program takes all the guessing out of it and will actually show you the best time and organization to pay off the debt. You'll do this in real time from today looking forward until all the debts are paid in full. Again, if you added another debt, it will look at that point moving forward, and it'll always look for the fastest path to zero. So what's the software going to tell us? It'll tell you how much money to move, the exact dollar amount, and it's going to tell you when to move it, the exact date. and it's going to tell you from what account to what account. What you do need for the program to facilitate is a checking and savings account. The program will also work with the home equity line of credit. Not that you need to go out and get one, but if you had one, it will work with that also. And it will always adjust to your real world situations based on what you're doing with the program. You'll always find the quickest mathematical solution to eliminate debt. So again, with little or no alteration to the current standard of living, there's no refinancing or existing to any mortgage. There's no consolidation. We're going to let the software direct you to eliminate the debt in the shortest possible time using your specific situation. This is not a concept or theory. We've been helping people manage money smarter for over 2 decades with this particular program. So what I'd like to share with you is an analysis. This is a real world situation. This was a surgeon who came to me. His wife was a educator, and they had a lot of student loan debt. Specifically, you'll see that. I'm going to go through this kind of step by step. I'm not going to cover the whole program, but just some of the highlights here. But this individual had one mortgage, they had one car loan, and they had 11 student loan debts. You can see that up here on the left-hand side of the screen. You'll see the mortgage debt that's about $114,000, 12 student loans, about $489,000, and they had 5 credit cards, pretty high on the credit cards, about $36,000, for a total about $641,000 of total debt. They were laying out about $6,000 in debt payments alone, not covering any other expenses. So they had a total of 18 debts with this particular program, or rather, they brought 18 debts to the table here. We looked at their income. Obviously, you want to make sure that they have enough income to pay the debt. So their base monthly income was about $13,000. Their monthly payments is the $6,047, which is what you see here. And their other monthly expenses, meaning food, groceries, utilities, Netflix, Starbucks, all the things that take up insurance. That's what takes up, the other balance of their money. And they wanted to put about $1,400 in debt, in extra funds to pay off the debt. They were desperate. They wanted to do it, and they had the discretionary to do that. I will say that this is the number they wanted to put towards additional debt payments to accelerate the debt load. Typically, my clients will use a number anywhere between $100 to $2,000. I've seen $2,500. Again, this is a number that we utilize to trigger an intelligent report, obviously, but it's based on what the client feels they can do on a consistent basis. This couple wanted to do about $1,500 a month. So that's what we applied. If you look at the next series of columns and rows, I'm going to go into these specifically. What they really owed was $1,375,502, because the $640 up here is without the interest. Once you total that interest, so on a 30-year loan, if you've ever gotten a mortgage loan, they're going to give you that HUD sheet. That HUD sheet says, hey, this is what you're going to be, your mortgage payment's going to be, but here's what your interest is going to be. So with the total interest, we call it total interest percentage, or TIP, their actual debt load, including the mortgage, the 12 student loans, and the credit cards, was going to balloon to $1,375,000, right? Not the $640,000. We actually looked at it at the time. They had about 30.4 years left on their mortgage and student loans. So he's going to be paying student loans for about 30 years. And with the debt shredder, we reduced that $1,375,000 to $886,000. That's a pretty substantial savings of $489,000. And we're going to take them from 30 years down to 10.7 years. The 489 is with total savings on interest. That is across the board. Now, you may say it was just serendipitous that the loan amounts were $489,000, but that's how it came out. Sometimes this is larger, sometimes it's lower, but in this particular case, it was $489,000 in total interest savings. He was amazed at that. And on the wealth build, meaning, so at the end of 10.7 years, if he no longer has to put out this $6,000 or that $1,500, he can have an actual wealth build of $1,845,000, and that's at a 1% interest. And again, Not a financial advisor. We just show you that at 1%, this is what he would have by working with a licensed financial advisor. You could probably do better than that, 4% or better. But again, we like to under-promise and over-deliver. In this particular case, this client, we saved him about $3,800 a month just in interest. That's average interest savings for this particular client. Again, now there's some things here that we don't mention, but this particular client had 2 children. They were paying for childcare, and she really wanted to stay home and raise the kids, and she didn't want to have to pay childcare. And she felt if we can get them out of debt in that 10 years or less, they'd be able to do that. That monthly savings, that $3,800 a month, got her to make the move to actually stay home and raise her children. So that's a number I can't quantify. That's a personal number, obviously, but she was able to do that for her family. So it makes me feel good that they were able to do that. This is the second page of the report, and in this particular case, what we highlighted just an amortization schedule. You see the red here and the blue and green. This yellow highlight indicates when they wanted to be able to be out of debt. That was their goal. They want to be out of debt in 2034. And as you can see, by year 11, 12, 2031, they will already be out of debt and putting about $28,000 into their savings account or into their wealth account. The point is that the program will beat the clock in most cases. What I find when I touch base with my clients at the 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, year, they're all ahead of what the program says. And because the program seems to be a motivator for folks as they see their interest savings rise, as they see their time savings rise, they get motivated and they usually find some additional discretionary income to move forward and get themselves out of debt sooner. All right, here's another medical professional whose spouse was a salon owner. And they came to me with a primary mortgage. They had 2 loans, 2 student loans, and 1 credit card. They borrowed $688,000, but what they actually owe with that tip, that interest, was $1,136,000. So they're overpaying interest by about $448,000. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's what they're overpaying in interest. And that's, or 53% of the money they borrowed is interest. The debt shredder will save them almost $260,000, and they'll be debt free in 12 years as opposed to 38 years under the current bank's plan. And then in the remaining 26 years of savings, they can grow their nest egg to $2,402,000. And again, we're showing that at 1% interest, and they can do better than that outside. Their average monthly savings in this particular case was $1,800. Excuse me. And I think I have one more. This was a registered nurse. So she had no mortgage. However, she had 7 student loans that she was having a rough time with. She could, again, all these people are not in financial stress, meaning their lights are not being turned off, their cable's not being turned off. They're able to pay their bills, but they realize that they got to do something in order to get out of debt and or get out of debt faster. And that's what this program will do. She had borrowed $182,000, but actually with the tip interest, she actually owes $338,000. So she's overpaying interest by $156,000, or 85% more than the amount she borrowed. The debt shredder is going to save her about $111,000, and she'll be debt-free in 7 years, leaving her 29 years of being able to build wealth. I'm sorry, 22 years to build wealth, and that would grow to almost $800,000 at 1% interest. And again, that's a $1,200 a month average savings on interest. So this program, we consider it a financial GPS. You can go as fast as you want, you can go as slow as you want, but you're in control of it. Obviously, you still have to make the payments on your obligations, but what the program is going to do is tell you where to place that discretionary income that you pick, and it's going to make those adjustments and tell you where to make those payments and how to accelerate those payments in order to get out of debt faster. This is an award-winning program endorsed by Ernst & Young. We became Entrepreneurs of the Year with it, and it's been featured in many of the trade journals. It also allows you to provide you some financial foresight. It'll give you what-if scenarios. So as an example, if you decided you wanted to go out and buy an RV, the program can actually show you what the cost is, the real cost is going to be to that particular product, and whether it's the smart thing to do. You make that determination. It'll give you the true cost of getting into debt by making purchases that perhaps you wouldn't do if you had this information available to you. Again, it uses strategic banking strategies. It'll maximize your financial flexibility, and you can again pay off any debt as little as a third to half of the time. Life happens, right? And things will be rerouted. We never expected a pandemic a couple of years ago. So things will happen. The program will help you recalculate, readjust. You can create an emergency fund. Many of our clients do not have or started with no emergency fund and now have a nice nest egg and an emergency fund that they've been able to capture with the program. It'll recalculate your action plan. It'll keep you on track financially and help you accumulate wealth. And you have a team behind you. We have a complete client support team that will onboard you, take you through the program, show you how the program works, be there for you by just calling an 800 number. There's also video tutorials and so on, but you can call them. They can actually do a screen share with you and make adjustments for you if you're not familiar with what to do initially. But people catch on pretty quickly and move along with the program. But the client support is there. We provide the education and coaching. The customer service is obviously an 800 number away, and the results are warranted. When we run an analysis, we ask you to provide your numbers. We will never ask you for any private information. We will never ask you for account numbers, social security numbers, nothing like that. We're really looking for math, right? We're looking for, what's the product, whether it's a mortgage, a student loan, a car loan. We'll ask you what the percentage is, what your monthly payment is, what your interest rate is. And basically, the program will recalculate and will provide you that free analysis for you. This information we recommend to anyone, that the only way to see the value of this program is to have your own analysis done. Again, we ask for no private information. It's about a $250 value. That would be a charge if we charge for that. We do not charge for it. I actually enjoy running these because they're all new. We really enjoy helping people and saving financial lives. It's about a $250 value, but again, there's no cost to run the analysis. And we also provide a free information pack with some testimonials and some other items that could be a benefit. And if you're interested in having an analysis done, which is what I would recommend, see what your own numbers look like. Perhaps if not for you, a friend, a neighbor, a relative, we can help them out and run the free analysis for them. The number on your screen is a cell number. You can call that, text it at any time. I have Eastern Standard Time, and we will set up a consultation call initially just to get a feel for what you're looking at, what your concern is on the debt situation, and then we would run an analysis that would look something like the one I showed you earlier with that surgeon. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'd certainly like to open it up to any questions, Dr. Clearfield or anyone.
Do anybody have any questions? So what is it exactly that they're go back to your, can we go back to your surgeon there, or the first example?
Sure.
Can you put him back up?
Yes, I'm going to go back.
The type's a little hard to read, at least for me.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, let's see.
Okay, so what is it that you're taking? What is in the red here? You got it circled, but I can't really read it.
I'm sorry. Okay, so in the red here is their debt. So I don't know if you can read this at the top here.
I put it on a big screen here, so.
Okay. So the mortgage here is I'm going to round off, right? $114,000, and they have 12 student loans at $489,000, and 5 credit cards at almost $37,000. So their total debt load in this particular case was about $641,000. Do you see that? I don't know how. Okay, $641,000, right? They were making payments to pay off the debt about $6,000 a month.
Okay.
On the right-hand side, we'll see their earnings. Their income was about $13,000. We subtract the $6,000 of debt payments, which is here on the left, and they have about 5788 left over. That's food, groceries, utilities, things of that sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to apply to the debt because their goal is to be out of debt sooner. We asked, what amount of discretionary income are you willing to put towards that debt payment in order to accelerate it? Again, many clients, they average anywhere from $200 to, I've seen as high as $5,000. This client wanted to do about $1,500. So they said, we can afford another $1,500 a month towards the debt reduction or the debt elimination. So what the program's going to do is going to take that, look at all those debts, those 18 debts they have here. They're still going to have to make those payments, but the program is going to say, take that $1,500 and you're going to add $100 to debt one, $200 to debt two, $500 to debt four, and it's going to accelerate the debt payments on that and reduce the interest. And not only by reducing the interest, we're also reducing the time. So the output of that is up on the left side here is if they did nothing, if they said, hey, Dave, we're not interested in moving forward, they really have $1,375,000 in debt. Because this debt here at the top, that 640, that's just the upfront debt. That's not looking at the interest that they're going to have to pay over 30 years. Right. So this is really their debt load, 1,375,000.
Mm-hmm.
With the debt shredder, which is the blue column, we're going to reduce that to $886,000, and we save them a total of $489,000 in interest.
Well, is this a consolidation loan? Is that what it is?
It's not a consolidation loan at all. They still have to pay. They're still making the payments. What the program's going to do is take that $1,500 here at the top, and it's going to tell them where to apply that $1,500 on these debts. And it may vary depending on the percentages and so on, but it's going to tell them to take that $1,500 and apply perhaps $100 of that to the mortgage, perhaps $200 of that to one of the loans, of student loans. So what they're going to do is take that $1,500 and it's going to divvy up where they're going to apply payments to the existing obligations they have. No consolidation. We're just going to take a bit of extra money that they have, and they're going to apply that to the various loans. But the program's going to tell them where to apply that to maximize the interest and time savings.
So in this example, how much extra money per month is it going to take to get from the 1.3 million to the 885,000?
About $1,500 a month.
Okay.
The program is going to take that and it's going to apply that to those loans and reduce the interest and the debt. And they're obviously going to be saving interest every month.
Well, and I'm sure you've heard this. Well, I don't have an extra $1,500 a month.
Well, it doesn't have to be $1,500.
Right.
That's why it could be. Honestly, it'll work. The program will work as little as $20 a month. However, they're not going to be out of debt in 10.7 years, right? It's going to take a little bit longer at $20 a month. Mm-hmm. This particular client wanted to take about $1,500. On average, my clients are using around $100 to $200. That's kind of the sweet spot for the average person who doesn't want to lay out a lot of extra money. But some folks can afford more, and that's entirely up to them. By the way, they're not obligated to that number. There's no obligation here. If they have a bad month, they can't do $1,400. They'll do whatever they can. If they can't do anything, the only thing that changes is that instead of being out of debt by March of 2031 here, it may be April or May or June of 2031. All right. So there's really no risk here other than the fact that just a time situation. They're in control. That's why we call it financial GPS, is that they're in total control of how fast they want to move forward or how slow they want to.
Does it make a difference that, up until 2-3 years ago, the interest rates were, kind of pretty low? I mean, I personally own my office building, and I got a 2.98% interest rate. We're not getting that again.
You're not, no.
So, at least in my mind, it's better to hang on to that than to, because quite frankly, I'd like to get out of here and go someplace else, but it's going to cost 3 times as much wherever I go.
Right. So
So,
what is your question? Is it worth
well,
me holding?
with some of these, so you're showing rates of 5.7%, 6.8%. A lot of the loans in the last, you know, for 2015 to 2020 were 2%, 3%. Is it better to hang on to the really low ones, or?
But again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't get into that. I mean, that's a personal decision. Um, the point is that if you have a low interest rate, how long do you have to pay that? Is it, what you still need to look at is what's the total interest percentage.
Mhm.
Even if you got that a 2.4 interest rate, um, the first 10 years of that loan, 72% of that is interest, right? Up to, 72 to 73% is interest. Could you perhaps use that interest savings elsewhere, right? And then that's what the program can produce for you. It'll produce a number, produce an analysis that says, hey, does it make sense for me to pay it all off at, that two, even at the 2.4%, or do I hold on to it? Right? The program can help you determine that. And on the student loans, we're finding that certainly higher interest rates than 2.4. Most student loans are much higher than 2.4, 2 to 3 times that. And that seems to be the biggest issue that I have run into, at least in the medical community, is the tuition debt has really been an albatross.
Mhm. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? All right. So if I call this number, you're 973, what happens?
You basically set up an appointment where we'll get some information out to you well, do a consultation call, about 5 to 10 minutes on the phone, just to get a feel for what your concern is. And then we send you a worksheet where you'll be fill that out. And you'll do that all through that number you call.
Okay. And the cost of this program?
We provide that cost at the time of the analysis. We want to make sure that there's a fit for you.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Dave, can you please share the information about the woman that had gotten a windfall of, I think it was $20,000, and she was going to just pay a chunk off of the
Yeah,
one mortgage?
yeah. I don't have a.
Just how the
Yeah,
software
I
was
don't have.
served.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't have a slide for that, but I'll just relay this story. This was a client that came to me, actually, husband and wife. They're bankers, and they had a mortgage. They had student loans that they were paying for their boys, and they had 2 cars they were paying off, and a couple of credit cards. Initially, they had about 18 years left on their total debt, mortgage, student loans, et cetera. And with our initial analysis showed that they would pay that off in about 8 years. So it went from 18 to 8, saving them 10 years. Their discretionary up in here was about $200. So that's all they wanted to do is about $200 a month that they wanted to put towards the debt elimination and acceleration. And anyway, in February, this was in November. In February, she contacted me. She had received a $20,000 bonus. And she called me up and she wanted to, she felt that I really think I want to pay down the boys' student loans. And I said, well, you can do that. You're probably going to save a ton of interest as well as time. But why don't you let the program make that determination for you and run it through the program as opposed to using emotion and saying, hey, you want to do this? Let the program make that determination. The program's smarter than all of us. And she contacted our client support. They took her through the what if scenarios. And so here's the bottom line. Had she taken that $20,000 and paid down the boys' student loans, she would have saved $38,000 in interest. So I think we'd all agree that 20 grand in to save $38,000 in interest is a home run. However, the program did some calculations and indicated that to take that $20,000 and to split it up between the mortgage and the student loans, and she actually saved $44,000. So she saved an additional $6,000 by letting the program's algorithms determine the best path for her. Needless to say, she chose the path of the debt shredder, and she did save $44,000. So, so initially went from 18 years down to 8, and last time I spoke to her, I believe she was at 3, and that was back from 2021, I believe. So, way ahead of schedule, and we find with many of our clients, is again, as they see their debt load decrease, their interest savings increase, and the time savings increase, they move forward, and they usually find some additional dollars, whether it's a bonus or a rebate or a refund, or just another side gig or what have you. They'll find up some additional funds. But if not, the numbers on the screen that you see here, for your own personalized analysis, we will warranty them that this, if you follow the program, you will get the results the analysis provides.
So you get a monthly report, and it tells you do this.
Yeah, actually, yeah. There's some things here that that I haven't shown, but there's an action plan that tells you what to do. Gives you kind of a 3-month window of what needs to be done, and as you do them, it recalculates, and will you can create a budget. You can create an emergency fund. You can get reports at the push of a button. So if you're using a CPA, financial advisor, you can click a report and provide that information.
Okay, somebody put a chat up there, but it went real quick. So if you could tell us what you were saying there. The chats don't last.
Hold on. Is there a way for me to look at the chat? No, I can't.
Yeah, you hit the little chat button with the smiley face in it.
Got it. Okay, I see it.
Okay.
All right, but I don't see the question. Was there a question?
How about if I ask a question? Do you have your program localized in Spanish or Portuguese or any other languages?
We have support in Spanish.
I mean, people that speak Spanish, or is the program translated into Spanish?
To my knowledge, that's a great question, and
I can talk to you about it later offline.
Yeah, I'd have to check into that. I know that we have client support in Spanish. I don't know if the report itself is in Spanish, but that's a great question. I'm going to need to find that out for myself. So thank you for asking that. I don't see a question on the chat.
There is, Dave. I can read it. So if you cannot give the cost of the program up front without having to do a consultation,
Right.
then this is no different than timeshare, condos, doctor's offices that take insurance, etc.
Well, I beg to differ, but the point is that most of my clients don't even wind up paying for the program because the interest savings subsidizes the cost of the program.
No. Anybody else? Dr. Quinn, what's your thoughts on this?
Say again. I'm sorry.
You always have some thought-provoking analysis here. So
Yeah, well, my answer to the whole thing is just hit the lotto.
You help us pick the numbers.
Right.
Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could. No, this is absolutely amazing. I think that people don't realize, especially those of us in healthcare don't really realize the nuances of the finance and some of the things that are out there and some of the things that we can do. So I think this is pretty doggone impressive.
Thank you. Honestly, what's really impressive is when people have their own numbers run, because nothing will speak to you better than your own situation.
Yeah.
And that's why I do recommend that everyone, and by the way, that information is not shared with anyone. If I'm doing the analysis, it's not shared with anyone other than you and I. And we go over those numbers. You're basically saying, hey, these are my numbers. You can give me false numbers and you're going to get false results, right? But if you use your real numbers, it's an eye opener. And that's been my experience for people. They see that, hey, this is a real case study. This is not made up numbers. This is an individual that we were able to help among many. This one happens to be unique in that the amount of student loan debt this individual was carrying, but also unique from the standpoint that the savings, that monthly savings was pretty substantial and allowed her or them as a couple to be able to raise their children at home. And that there's a value that I can't put on, right?
I think what's amazing is you have a surgeon with only $114,000 in a mortgage.
Well, that's the other situation. This couple was in New Jersey and they had a townhome and they wanted to get a bigger home. They wanted to get their dream home. And they didn't want to make that move because of the debt load they had. So at that point in time, they've now moved into a bigger home, and guess what? They put that home through the debt shredder too. But the point is that at the time it was holding them back from making the life decisions they wanted to because of the concern of that debt load they were carrying. So that this program freed them up to be able to get a bigger home and obviously a bigger mortgage.
Right.
Yeah, and just to add to a little bit to this, I think for the most part, I know myself, when I first looked at my very first mortgage many, many years ago, and I ended up doing the longhand of it, it was astounding to see it really wasn't like that 2.9% interest rate. Like Dave said earlier, that's paid usually up front. So you're kind of getting nailed in the beginning of it all for those early years. And I think that's really where we lack, the average person, the lay person in the finance industry lacks that understanding of what's actually taking place. I mean, some people do if you're sitting down there and figuring it out. But again, having a software that can figure out the various permutations, something that would take us maybe 8 or 9 hours a month, and who's got that to spend on that? Figuring out what's the best way to go, what's the best thing to pay off first.
That's a good point. And understand, I don't think any of us have been to a shabby looking bank, right? They're all very nice looking banks. They have nice courts or marble and glass and steel, and they're all beautiful looking facilities. There's a reason for that. On a 4.5% interest rate, going back to what Dr. Clearfield was saying, on a 4.5% interest rate at $200,000, you're actually going to pay $165,000 in interest. On a $200,000 loan, you're going to pay $165,000 more. So you actually pay $365,000. So even at a low interest rate, if you look at it over the course of 30 years, that total interest percentage is huge. And the first 10 years of that bank loan is the majority of the interest that you're going to be paying. The first 10 years of that, well, the first year you're going to pay almost $9,000 on that loan. Second year it doesn't drop by much, maybe 8.5, and so on. So the first 10 years of a mortgage is typically all interest. Now what happens is, on average, the average homeowner is selling or moving in the 7 to 10 year time frame. So they're in debt for that 30 years. In 10 years, the first 10 years, they're paying the majority of interest. Now they buy their dream home, and they start that 30-year curse again, right? You know, the word mortgage in Latin means death pledge. So there's a reason for it. It's a death pledge. So now they've got another brand new home, and they're going to pay 30 years. And again, the majority of the interest is going to be paid up front the first 10 years of that loan. The banks, I want to say it's a scam, but that's where they make their money, right? That's where they make the money. And when I'm talking about mortgage, that's also applicable to a car loan. That's also applicable to tuition loans. That's applicable to credit cards, right? The bottom line is that the total interest percentage is what nails us. And what this program allows you to do is to eliminate, again, about a half to a third of the total interest and about a half to a third of the time frame. And I can't say this enough. The time frame is really where the wealth is being built. In this particular example you see on the screen, rather than being debt for 30 years, they'll be out of debt in 10.7. That gives them 20 years of being able to build wealth. And what we're going to build wealth is by taking the $6,000 that they no longer have to pay debt, plus that $1,500 that was their discretionary. And again, by working with a financial advisor, all right, they can build a wealth build or a nest egg of over $1.8 million in the same amount of time that it would take them to pay off all their debt. Same amount of time, but they now have 20 years of freedom.
That's if he doesn't go out and buy a bigger house with a bigger mortgage, right?
Of course, of course. I mean, this is a snapshot in time, right? This is a snapshot in time, you know. But yes, in this particular case, they went out and got a bigger home. But this is a lifetime program, so they can take that new mortgage and new debt, and they can shred that. Instead of having that mortgage for 30 years, they can cut that down to about 10 to 15 years or less.
Okay.
I have real estate investors that are using this program for just that. They're buying properties, they're rehabbing them, they're fixing them up, they're shredding the debt, getting that 30-year mortgage, shredding it, and buying another piece of property. There's multiple mortgages you could have. I'm just showing one that's specific to the medical community. But I'm dealing with educators, I'm dealing with contractors, people that are 1099 employees. This happens to be that. What has happened to me in the last 8 years is the majority of my clients have been in the medical field, and that's why I'm on this call today. So that's the majority of people I've been helping. But I've been helping the blue collar person, the individual, who housewife with a husband that's working, or vice versa, and just want to get out of debt, just want to pay off their debt. But as they bring on new debt, and typically they will, they're going to buy a new car, they're going to buy a new truck, they're going to buy a new home or an investment property. This program will work with anything that you're paying a percentage on.
Can I ask you a question about interest rates? I know it's a little bit out of this realm, but maybe So I got a car loan with a 5% interest rate a couple of years ago, and it comes from Capital One, and it shows up actually on my credit card statement because I have a Capital One card also, and it says the car loan's $521 a month. That's the payment. The interest is $98 on a 5.5% loan. So I called them up and I said, "How is this? How is this 5.5%? This is 20%." And they gave me gobbledygook, basically. I mean, right? If it's $521 and 98 of it is interest, that's 20%. That's not 5%. Am I wrong? Where am I wrong here?
You're probably right, but it's like I mentioned, they're probably collecting the majority of that interest up front.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So as as you pay it off, it'll probably wean down to what you perceive to be that 5%. Mm-hmm. But you're more than likely, it's just like a loan on a mortgage. The majority of that's going to be done up front.
Okay. Well, it's all sunshine and roses, but what can go wrong with this program?
I haven't found anything that has gone wrong with the program in the 8 years I've been affiliated with it. The only thing I've seen is positive results. People are paying off their debt in a shorter period of time. They're saving on the monthly interest, which is significant. And again, there's things I can't quantify. Things like being able to stay home and raise a child. And doing things that you want to do, whether it's more vacation time or more charity work or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, do you want to talk about the warranty?
Yeah, the program is
warranted. Dr. Clearfield's question.
The program is warranted. So if your numbers are accurate, if you follow the program, we warranty these results. We warranty your results, not these results, but your results. And we give that to you in writing.
Okay. Okay.
There is no, let me just finish up. There is no risk, absolutely no risk in having an analysis done. And that's what I would recommend. If you really want to look at what your specific situation could be, or again, it could be a friend, a client, a relative, we can show them exactly where they can be with this program. And I'll be the first to say, if we can't help you, we'll let you know that before we even get started.
All right. So, a comment from Dr. Stoker. He asked the Capital One what the interest rate would be, and they told me what's in your wallet. So, so Dr. Smith, you don't look like you're buying this.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to comment on the car thing because you said it was 5%. So it's not off the monthly. I mean, it's off of the big purchase.
Right.
And so if it's 5% of that big purchase, then that might be 98%, or I mean, $98 is what you said. So it's not 5% of what you're paying a month.
Yeah, but it's 20% of that payment's going to interest. No,
Right. You're right. No, but then somebody said on here, like, at up front, you're going to pay a lot more because it's a bigger amount that you're paying the 5% on.
Right. Yeah, that's what I meant. That's the total interest percentage you're paying on that particular loan.
But I guess the biggest thing I think about this whole thing is so is there evidence to show that if we use this program that it's better than like Debt Snowball?
Actually, great question. Debt Snowball, Debt Avalanche are typically used by I forget his name, Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey program. And by the way, I respect Dave Ramsey. He's the guru of debt elimination, debt reduction. The Debt Snowball, what I've heard what I've heard from actual people that have been using the Dave Ramsey program or programs like that is that you will get out of debt, but you'll be eating bologna sandwiches while you're doing that, right? For the next 10 to 15 years. Where our program, what we find is that there's no change to lifestyle. People identify what their discretionary is that they can use, whether it's $100 or $200 or $50. So there's not a strain on them financially to utilize the program to pay off their debt. And it uses a combination of Debt Avalanche and Debt Snowball, but it uses the algorithms, which really is the difference between a real Debt Snowball, Debt Avalanche program.
Okay. So then you already have to, like, when you want to go invest later, you're still having to get a financial advisor. And so why wouldn't the financial advisor, if you're paying them, why wouldn't they tell you all these things?
Tell you what things?
Like which ones to pay off?
I have yet to find a financial advisor that could give me or give my clients on 6 debts what the right balance would be to pay on those particular debts. They have some knowledge, but they don't have the mathematical, scientific algorithm knowledge to produce a report like this can. They'll give you an answer. I mean, they'll say, yeah, pay off your highest interest rate first or your lowest interest rate first, or double down on this. They'll give you answers like that, but that doesn't mean it's scientific. That doesn't mean it's mathematically accurate. This program is going to be mathematically accurate.
Hey, Dr. Clearfield, do you know what that snowball is?
I have no idea.
Okay, so it's basically taking the smallest. So I just want people to understand that. So it's taking the smallest debt you have and attacking that with whatever discretionary you have. So if you have $25 extra a month, you owe $600 on your credit card and $1,000 for your car and like $50,000 on your house, you just go after that small, tiny one. And you attack it every month. You put that $25 until it's gone. Okay, now I have all that money to put to the snowball. So now I pick the next one that's the smallest. No matter, you don't even look at the interest rate. I mean, you're still making the payments on everything, the regular payments. Then you say, okay, I'm going to take that 25 plus whatever I have left now, and I'm going to put it to the next thing. And I just keep hacking away at it. And then boom, it's the next thing. And, so it just seems to me that when you have all these life things and all this stuff, it's just one more thing I have to pay for. And then again, like, we don't even know how much it is. Like, this is the thing. This is why I don't even take insurance anymore, because every time you try and call somebody, you say, how much is the visit going to be? Well, I don't know. It just depends on how how invested we are. Is it 99214? Is it 99215? So you don't know how much it is that's going to cost to go to this doctor. I mean, that's
Right. Well, you've come a long way in the time we've met, haven't you? You were scared to dip your toe in the water. Now listen to you.
oh, Dr. Clearfield. Yeah.
Remember that? You didn't want to be ostracized, and now you joined the ostracized group.
I know. I love you guys. You have no idea how much of a difference you've made in my practice. This whole group is like my family and that's why I'm trying to protect my family, because I'm sitting there going, I don't know about this. But yeah, like I call this my Tuesday night crazy group, and all of my patients know about it. They love it. They think I'm a better doctor for it.
Well,
Hey, David.
I would hope so.
Absolutely. Love you guys.
Yeah.
No, thank you for chiming in. I've taken Dave Ramsey's program before and done some debt solutions, debt this, debt that. It sounds like your program algorithmically chooses which debt percentage to pay off first based on the outcomes over the extended time. And that's the difference between you and Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey chooses the smallest debt first, no matter what the interest is.
Correct.
I think your computer program chooses what the highest interest is, even if it's on the largest sum total. So your program over time lowers the overall interest rate on all the 6 or 7 loans that you were talking about. So that would be the difference. So in essence, your snowball would be bigger than Dave Ramsey's.
I guess you could say that. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. And now you got AI getting into the swing of things. And I don't know if you guys are using that too, but I mean, it's pretty impressive that there's this type of program out there that could tackle this type of stuff, because a lot of people are just absolutely overwhelmed with business loans, home loans, car loans, school loans, every loan, all the loans. It's just ridiculous.
That's what we call the lifestyle creep, right? That's where people are getting, swamped. They're trying to live life, but they're getting buried in more debt, and they started off with a lot of debt.
Right.
And the program again gives you and again, by the way, you can override anything the program gives you. I mean, if you say, hey, I don't want to make that payment to this particular thing this month because you're telling me to do that, but I feel I want to do elsewhere, just like I mentioned with the couple with the 20 grand. She could have not chosen the program to do it and just pay that 20 grand towards a student loan. She still would have saved $38,000, right?
Right.
That's still a win. That's still a win. The 44,000 to me is a bigger win, and she felt that way too. So letting the program make that determination made all the difference, yeah.
Guys, I came in late at 10. Is the contact info for David going to be shared?
Yeah, we shared that number. It's 973-714-9424.
Thank you.
And that's a cell you can text or call Eastern time. I'm not sure where the audience is for this organization.
We're all over the country.
Okay,
Sometimes
so that's Eastern,
all over the world too.
Eastern time. EST.
Okay, so we start out early here on the West Coast, so just to let you know. So 6 a.m. is not unusual for us.
Right.
So, okay. Anybody else? Any questions? John, you still here? Still with us? You're muted. So, you got anything there? No? Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, David, you have a little summary for us?
Well, the summary would be, let me go back to, the summary would be, again, this is a program that is, I believe, has helped has helped many people, particularly in the medical community, and that's why I was invited here tonight. And I appreciate the time and the questions. Now I'm going to have to find out if the program will translate in Spanish for the individual who asked that question. But what I have found is that the best way to evaluate this program is for you to see it yourself and have an analysis done. Do consultation with us, get a feel for what we can help you with. We send you a worksheet. You plug that into your computer, email it to us, and within 48 hours, we can get back to you with your numbers, and we'll do a report and show you exactly what the program can do for you. There's no obligation. Again, it's confidential, not shared with anyone. And it's an eye opener. My recommendation is when you do, I've seen people say, I'm not interested. I had one individual who just had a mortgage and he was actually making extra payments on his mortgage. And he said, I don't think you could help me. And I said, I may not be able to help you, but let's run an analysis and see. And on that mortgage, he said he'd have his mortgage paid off in the next 2 years. And we saved him 10 months on that mortgage. So he'll have the mortgage paid off at the end of August or beginning of September of this year. So he's saving an average about $36,000. And on the wealth build portion, that's going to be substantially more. So my point is, look at the program, even though it's called the debt shredder, it's really more of a wealth building tool. And that you can work with your own financial analysis, a financial advisor, or to get that. But run your own numbers. You can see what the program will do for you. That's an eye opener, and that's my recommendation.
Okay. John, you got any sound there or no? Nope. Okay. Anybody else? Any comments, questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Jane, also.
Dr. Clearfield, thank you to the audience. Appreciate the calls and the questions, and hope to talk to you soon.
Somebody have something else? So next week we have Dr. Deidre Mason. We're back to medical. Long-term micronutrient depletion and what to do about it. Okay, so that's next week. And please bring a friend so we can continue to grow our group. And anybody, any comments, questions, please let me know. I'm going to be sending out, so I'm going to be with on a international alternative medicine webinar next week. I'll send you the information on that link if you're interested. I'm speaking on nearly everything we learned about hormones in medical school was wrong. So that's my topic. So always fun. Okay. John, if you can type something for us, let us know. Anybody else have anything? Dr. Siegel? Dr. Crowley, anything? So, Jane, thank you so much for bringing David. David, thank you for being here. And
thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
We'll be in touch. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so
much.
much. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you all. So, a little early tonight, but that's okay. We'll see you all next week, same time, same station. The video of this will be up probably within 24 to 48 hours at the latest, and it's on our website, as always, aosrd.org/webinars. And as you, I spelled that wrong, webinars. And my de facto YouTube channel, Clearfield Medical Group. For some reason, they end up there too. So on YouTube. So, okay. So that'll be next week, same time, same station. Anybody have any announcements to make about the places they're speaking or anything? And if not, again, Mr. Silva, thank you so much. Hope to be speaking to you. And Jane, thank you for your help here.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to say good night, everybody. Then, unless anybody has any comments, thank you all so much, and we'll see you again next week.